So good morning, everybody, and welcome to another broadcast with us here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. For those who are new to us, and we do have quite a few new classes today, so I'll be on my best behavior. Welcome to Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. Now, everything we do goes to our YouTube channel, so if there's any other programs that you want to see that you missed, or if you want to share this one with your family and friends, just head right there. Make sure you do that. Lots of opportunity to keep the learning and excitement going. Now, I'm particularly excited today because today we are featuring one of my all-time favorite speakers we've had on the program, talking about one of my all-time favorite animals in the world. I like predators. I like great white sharks. I like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. If it's got big teeth, I'm a big fan. But there's one animal in particular that I love almost more than any other, and that is the Komodo dragon. It's like something out of a bygone age. Frankly, it's one of those creatures that you see it and you're like, that is in the wrong time period. That belongs like 50, 60 million years ago. It just doesn't make any sense. Well, it is an incredible and living and real life creature on one of the most beautiful and special places on planet Earth. And so today I've got conservation biologist Ardiantono to talk to you about the lost world of the Komodo dragon, this really special part of the world where they live, and more about this wild and incredible animal. A big welcome to all our classes pouring in the background as well. So nice to have you in. But without further ado, if you want to unmute your mic, man, come on in and take us away. Welcome back to the broadcast. So nice to see you again. Hey, but unmute first. We've done this through COVID. This is happening.
Now, you can hear me now? This. Hello. Oh. Are we starting yet or not yet?
We're back. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. It's always like this.
So this is so funny. Sorry for all the kids out there. My connection literally just died just as I brought you in. So I brought you.
That's yours. Okay.
And then the
I was thinking
failed,
it's mine.
but we're good. Okay. You're good to go, man. If you want to dive in with the presentation, please feel free. Sorry for the delay, everybody, but let's dive in with all this great Komodo stuff.
All right. I'm just gonna share my screen. It's gonna take quite a while, as you know. Can you see my slide?
I have got it up. Let's do this thing. We are good to go. It's perfect.
Cool. So thank you, Jesse, for the introduction and the excitement that really brings today. Getting really exciting. So hi, everyone. My name is Ardian. As you can see, I only have one name, which is very common in my country, Indonesia. Today, I'm in England, where I'm currently studying. It's a bit gray and cold, very classic England. But today, I would like to share a story from a place which is like much warmer and also like a lot of sun, featuring, like Jesse said, one of the coolest animal in the world. So, like Jesse, I love predator. I love big animals. So my favorite from the beginning is actually dinosaur. Like I love everything about dinosaur. So when I studied my biology for my undergraduate, it's very clear that I want to research animal that looks like a dinosaur. So of course, my first choice will be crocodile. I mean, like, look at them. They look like dinosaur and they are very big. But it didn't work out at that time simply because I cannot swim. So if you want to study an animal who lives in the water and you cannot swim, just in case you fall out of the boat, that can be tricky. So I gave up, and I'm really, really lucky that I got a chance to study another animal, which is now become my most favorite animal, the Komodo dragons. People call it the living fossil, the real dinosaur. It is the largest lizard in the world. They can reach up to 3 meters and weigh more than 100 kilograms. And amazingly, you can only find them in one place, in my country, Indonesia. In actually, in this cluster of small islands, so you cannot find them in anywhere else, besides maybe zoo. And today, I would like to share my story in this area, which we call Komodo National Park, which is the home, the main home for Komodo dragons. So 70% of the population are actually can be found inside the national park. And the bonus of that, it is, for me, the most beautiful place in the world. I mean, like, look at that. Though it's not that easy to climb the hill, but the view is worth it. Um, so my story is actually bring you like 10 years ago, which is like when I was very young and studying my undergraduate. Look at me, look at my face now. It's so different. I was very fortunate to get a chance to become a volunteer for Komodo Survival Program. It is a local NGO in Indonesia that has been working since early 2000 for to studying and also protecting Komodo dragons. So if you're talking about who are the expert of Komodo dragon, these people from Komodo Survival Program are the expert. So I'm very fortunate to work with them. And I mean, I never been to Komodo National Park before my internship. So can you imagine like the first time you step on the national park and the view that you saw is actually like this? National park has like a very dry ecosystem. So in the mid-year, around August, you will see that all this golden landscape, the mountain, the savanna, and it's very exciting to know that actually there is the place where Komodo dragon live. And you know what? The easiest place to see Komodo dragon is actually not in this area, not in the forest, but under the house. If you go to tourism area, if any of you ever been to Komodo National Park, it's very easy to see Komodo dragons sleeping or laying down or laying under the house. So we have kind of like elevated buildings, and the closer the building to the kitchen, because you cook fish, chicken, meat, the easier you will see Komodo dragon. So it's actually quite easy. But my first encounter at that time is actually not seeing Komodo dragons under the house, but this one. I'm gonna give you a time to kind of like thinking about what's going on here. This is literally my first encounter with Komodo dragons inside the forest. It's a bit shaky, this picture, but because it's very emotional moment for me. First time seeing Komodo dragons. I remember my mentor told me like when we just entered the forest, he said like Ardi, it's fine if you don't see Komodo dragons like maybe after 1 or 2 days, because usually you don't really see them in the forest. We saw this Komodo dragon. It's actually like less than 30 minutes when we just entering the forest. So what happened here? You might have a sort of an idea already. It's actually like what we saw is a Komodo dragons fighting with a group of wild pigs to eat a deer. So it's not only like you see, we didn't only see like Komodo dragons walking in the forest, but we actually saw them eating and fighting. It was very exciting experience, and I kind of like make some kind of like noise because I was so excited. And of course, the Komodo dragons and the wild pig just ran away. The deer not, because he's already died. But we went to the forest, continue our survey, and we went back 30 minutes later. Before, if you can see, the deer is still quite intact. But when we just got back 30 minutes later, what we found is only the head of the deer and the backbones. So everything else is gone. It was amazing encounter, and I still remember every second of it. What we actually did, so during my volunteer, so I was spending a month inside the national park, traveling across islands, and then I got a chance to go back again to do my undergraduate thesis in the village. So I was very lucky to help with the camera trap. So basically the KSP or Komodo Survival Program, they always have a routine population monitoring of Komodo dragons. One of them is a camera trap. If you can see this small little camera, you can put them in the forest and they will active for 24 hours. So any kind of living beings, animals, humans that are big enough, when they pass in front of the camera will capture the picture of the video of the animals. So to attract Komodo dragons to the camera location, we actually put a bait. If you see this red little box and also like a plastic bag on top of the tree, we actually put a goat meat. Why? Because they smell the worst. They have a very strong, unpleasant smell. So my colleague already tried using fish or chicken, which is much cheaper, but they didn't smell that much. And Komodo have a very strong sense of smell. So when you have like a very like I would say like bad smell meat, they can smell it like up to 1 kilometer or more. So we use that meat to attract them in front of the camera. And if Komodo actually present in that area, you will find the picture of the Komodo dragons. Sometimes you find only one Komodo dragon. Sometimes you can find two Komodo dragons or more. So it's very exciting to see like how many Komodo dragons that you will see when you set up the camera. And why we did that is actually to see where they are distributed. So when we set up the camera, we will know, like in this map, the green area will be the area where you can find Komodo dragons. The red one is actually a places that we already set a camera, but we didn't find any Komodo dragons. So the next one, also population monitoring, also use trap, but this time we are not using a small one, but like a much bigger trap. So this one box trap for one Komodo dragon is actually consisted of these three small boxes, and one box weight about 20 pounds. So one box trap will be weight about 60 pounds. Imagine it's something like a box trap for rats. So you put a bait and the rat goes inside, but this time it's Komodo dragons and the trap will shut. When it shut, the team will arrive. They will pull out the Komodo dragon and tie them up and do all the measurement. We want to know like the length of the Komodo dragon, the weight, and also the body condition. And it's not harmful for the Komodo dragons because like we only do that, the measurement, all of that in about 5 or 10 minutes. And I mean, like, they also got a free bait, free meat from the trap. So it's kind of like a win-win solution. So why are we doing all of this trapping? Because like it's very important to see how they are doing, especially in the Komodo National Park. And by doing the box trapping, we actually can know the density of Komodo dragons, like how many of them are actually living inside the national park. What is the sex ratio? How many females, how many males, and how many adult Komodo dragons compared to the young one? And if you do that like over the year, which the team already done since early 2000, you will see the trend of the population and you will know like whether they are doing good or not so good. As information, Komodo dragon inside Komodo National Park are doing very well because they are very well protected by the patrol and also the support from the community. The next one, the activity that I involved is actually called the prey survey. If you see this beautiful picture of me and my friends, we are very serious counting something. You will be actually, we only count poop. It's not really fancy survey actually, but it's very important because we want to know like how many prey species that are available inside the Komodo National Park. And as you all know, common dragon is a predator and basically they eat everything as long as they are meat. And three of the most favorite prey species are actually deer, wild pig, and even buffalo, like much bigger than Komodo dragons. And they have a very interesting way to hunt their prey, especially the big prey like buffalo. Komodo dragon have a venomous bite. So they bite buffalo, and then the wound by the time will get infected by bacteria. And also they have a venom that kind of like prevent the blood clotting. So the buffalo will get weaker by the day, by the time, and the Komodo dragon will just follow them. So when the buffalo die, finally after days of infection, the Komodo will come. Not only the Komodo who bite the buffalo, but also other Komodo dragons around that area. And they're gonna have like a big feast. One buffalo can be eaten by more than 10 Komodo dragons, and that's, I would say, like a very amazing experience if you can see them in the wild. Why we studying the prey? Actually, it's very simple because Komodo like us, we cannot live without food. Like me, I cannot live without McDonald's, and Komodo dragon cannot live without deer, pig, or buffalo. So in area where you can find a lot of prey species, the Komodo dragon will have a better body condition, and as you can see, they are much fat and bigger. But in other area where you have a limited prey, the Komodo dragon will tend to be skinnier. And of course, that's going to affect their survival in the future. So just quite fun fact that as we know, the Komodo dragons can eat everything. And that include, if you see something in his mouth, another Komodo dragon. So Komodo dragon is a cannibal. And the baby Komodo dragons, actually very interesting story, when they just hatch and get out from the nest, which is like a hole on the ground, they will run away straight to the nearest tree and climb as fast as they can because they want to avoid larger Komodo dragons that usually gonna prey or eat the baby Komodos. So this is a very interesting fact about Komodo dragon. They are cannibal and the baby know how to run away since they just born. The last thing that I did was the behavior survey. So the previous survey was actually conducted routinely by KSP and the National Park. And this time also, like, I got a chance to do my own project, which is the behavior survey, where we actually wanted to know like how Komodo dragon reacts to human in area where you have a lot of humans and in the wild area where you don't have a lot of human, maybe no human activities. And this is a picture of me actually observing a mommy Komodo dragons that guarding their nest, which is the hole that you can see on the ground. So what we found is very interesting. People say Komodo dragon is dangerous, but in fact, the wild Komodo dragons are afraid of us. For example, this tiny bit Komodo dragons, like it's about 500 meters from me, and when he saw me, or she saw me, it's actually like run away straight away. So wild Komodo dragon will avoid human because they're scared of us. But in area where you have a lot of human activities, like in the tourism area, the Komodo dragon will become habituated, or they are not afraid of us. But by not afraid doesn't mean that they're gonna come and chase you. They just kind of like don't care. It's like your cat in your house. They're just sleeping and looking at you, and they just don't do anything. But that also has a consequences, right? When Komodo is not afraid of humans, they will come to a places where people live, especially like, for example, in the villages, and they will involve in conflict where they attack the livestock or sometimes attack a human. And actually, coming from this experience, like I was very fortunate when I graduated from my study, I got a chance to really working out on human Komodo dragon interaction for another project for about 2 years. So but this time it's not in Komodo National Park, because we all know the Komodo there are well protected, but here on the Flores Island. It's actually like a neighbor island, and you have like a Komodo dragons, but they are much more under pressure compared to the one in Komodo National Park. Because of the prey hunting, there's a lot of hunting for rusa deer or for wild pig, and also fire, because like Flores Island is a very dry area. So during the dry season, it's very easy to get on fire. And also agriculture, like the forest has been converted, which is like the forest where the Komodo dragon live, it has been converted into agriculture. And another threat is conflict, because the Komodo dragon sometimes comes to the village attacking livestock, and the villagers will either retaliate by killing them or capturing them. So during this project for 2 years, we kind of like come to the local communities and we talk to them and we want to listen about them, what they think about Komodo dragons and what are their experience with Komodo dragons. So we want to learn from people who actually live with Komodo dragons. And then we shared what we know about the ecology and conservation of Komodo dragons to the kids in the school, like me now with you guys, and also like to the local community. So it's more like an exchange of knowledge. We're also excited to learn from them. And it's very exciting because during the project, like my friend made these beautiful illustrated books telling about how we human can live in harmony with Komodo dragons. It's very nice. I really love these books. Very beautifully illustrated also. And I must say that my journey or my adventure with Komodo dragon is not only about, of course, the amazing Komodo dragon itself, but to know that you got a chance to know more people, to make friends and family while you're doing like all of this work, got a chance to know the local culture that you won't find in other places, and also be able to work in one of the most beautiful places in the world is such an amazing experience, and I'm very grateful of that. And lastly, I must say, like, of course, all of this is part of the teamwork. So support from the local community, my mentor and colleague from Komodo Survival Program, they are the one who inspired me and also brings me to where I am at the moment. And I must say now, I'm not working with Komodo dragons anymore. I'm working with tigers, which is also cool. But Komodo is always my first love, and they are the one who brings me, who motivate me to work in conservation, protecting wildlife and the habitats. And here I am now, sharing my little story to you guys. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you.
Thank you, Ardian. That was fantastic, man. And what a beautiful,
Hey,
my gosh. Um,
ooh,
we're we're gonna dive in with questions now if you're good to go. We've got a whole bunch of classes live with us. YouTubers, if you guys want to share questions there, I'd love to hear from you. One thing I'll lead off with before I head to Miss Lou's class, our grade 4 group. How many people visit Komodo as a national
mm.
park or as an island every year? Do we know how many tourists you get?
Are you asking me or asking the?
I'm asking you. I'm asking you, man.
Sorry, sorry. Repeat the question again. I was thinking you're asking the class. Sorry.
No, no. I was wondering how many tourists Komodo gets every single year. Like, is there a set number? Because it seems like tourism's a huge part of the island economy now, and I'm really curious how that feeds into the potential human-wildlife conflict.
It is a lot. I mean, like if you see, like when the national park just established in 1980s, it's only like less than 1,000 tourists every year. And now, after the COVID in 2022, we actually received more than 180,000 tourists in a
Wow.
year. And we believe it's going to grow more than 200,000
Yeah.
this year or next year.
How
So there's a
about
lot
that?
of people. Yeah.
It's really interesting. We were just talking about bears in Canada's national parks the other day, where they get 4 million tourists and they have 70 grizzly bears. And so just the ratio there is so radically different. I love highlighting that for our students because I think a lot of kids envision just as many animals as there are people, and it's nowhere near the case. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
highlighted that. Thanks, man. Ms. Lou's class, grade 4s, come on in, Viola Desmond, and you're good to go. Hey.
How long have Komodo dragons been around?
Ooh, how
Ooh, that's a quite a hard question to be honest. Years, I would say, more than 1,000 years. People believe that Komodo dragons' ancestor actually coming from Australia 100 years ago. So exactly how long Komodo dragon has been living inside Komodo National Park, we don't know yet for sure, but we can say like it's been a while. I mean, like they've been there since you have a pygmy elephant. So Komodo National Park used to have an elephant, and Komodo dragon used to prey on that. That's the reason why Komodo dragon grows so big. Um,
yes.
they're already there for so long, but how many years? 1,000, 100,000? That's a
It's
very good
interesting.
question.
For such a big animal, of course, Indonesians knew that they were there for a very long time. But the first time they appear in the scientific record where Western scientists went and were like, wow, what is this thing? It's only 1910, which I know for
Yes.
seems like a long time ago, but 1910 is really, really recently compared to a lot of other big animals. So I'm really, really glad we got that question. Thanks, Miss Liu. Centennial, I'm gonna head to you guys, and if you should be good to go for a question, but it's just your microphone. So Centennial, let me know if you can hear us. Maybe.
Hello, so we can hear you. Hi.
Perfect. Yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah, so my question is uh, is the Komodo dragons almost extinct?
Ooh, what's their
Ooh.
conservation status? Yeah.
Ooh, that's a really good question. In the IUCN, we have like authority for conservation. Komodo dragon is listed as endangered. Endangered means like they are under threat, but so you have endangered, critically endangered, and extinct. So endangered is actually quite like they're under pressure already. But I must say that at the moment, the population of Komodo dragon is about 300 and 500 individuals, mostly inside the national park. And I would say like they are doing well because they are well protected by the rangers. But we know that there might be a threat for Komodo dragons, especially from the climate change, because like the rising sea level will affect the habitat of Komodo dragons. But if you see talking about the prey, um, the habitat loss, they are doing fine in Komodo National Park, but not so much outside the national park because you don't have enough protection. So it depends on which region you are talking.
Well, and I'm really glad that this is the case, because this highlights to our students a really important thing, which is that when we take the effort to protect habitats, ecosystems, animals, it really is very effective. You directly contrasted Flores versus Komodo as being these radically different situations where in Komodo, because there's protections in place, rangers in place, scientists working on the animals, they're in pretty good state. So I really like that question. Thank you, Centennial, for that. Grade threes in Burlington. I'm heading to you, Mr. Glaz's class, in just a minute. I'm going to take one from our friends at Spruce Grove in Alberta on YouTube. So many great questions from this class, but I particularly like this one from Zaina. Do adult Komodo dragons fight, Ardian?
Yes. I don't know if you Google Komodo dragon fighting, you will see like two Komodo dragons like standing each other. It's like they're hugging, but actually they're fighting. So don't get deceived by the picture. Yes, Komodo dragons sometimes fighting, especially between males, especially during the mating season because they need an access to the female. So by that time, usually the big male Komodo dragon will fight. So yes, they do fight sometimes, but not. I don't know how often, but they do fight like us.
I'm going to try and find for our kids. There's an amazing BBC video of Komodo
Oh
dragons
yes.
fighting. I'm going to try and track that down after the broadcast. So stay tuned for an email if you want to see a Komodo fight. Wish me luck in finding it.
Hey.
Live classes. There's so many of you. I'm coming to all of you, I promise. Like if you're not on your turn yet, I will be there very shortly. Grade threes in Burlington. Come on in. Hey guys.
Do Komodo dragons kill from venom or germs?
Number germs. Oh, the big question. Great question.
That's a big question. We kind of like thinking they're working together. So the venom prevent the blood clotting, so the wound will get bleeding all the time, and it makes the prey weak by the time. But also the infection from the bacteria make the wound worse. So I would say like it's either both of them. That's the case for the big prey like buffalo. But for like smaller prey like rusa or like wild pig, Komodo dragon actually don't need to use venom or bacteria. They just bite them and kill them straight away because they have a very strong bite. And when they bite something, they won't let it go at all.
Yeah. I love this question for a number of reasons. One is that in my time, sort of in ecology, in science, there's been a lot of debate on this. Like this is something that scientists have been both ways. The Toronto Zoo has had both different signs on venom versus bacteria before. And also, can we all agree that that was the most adorable person to ask that question about venom and bacteria of all time? So thank you for that very much. Great question, my dear. Miss Brown's class, we're going to head to you guys live now. Come on in. And Miss Canalti's class, we're coming to you in just a second. Hi, Miss Brown. Hey.
What can defeat a Komodo dragon with a very strong head?
Ooh, your audio is really... Could you repeat that for us? Sorry.
What can defeat a Komodo dragon with a very strong head?
What makes sorry, I'm so sorry. What makes them a strong predator, or what could impact them as a strong predator? Like it's something you can?
I think it's what can defeat the Komodo dragon if it's a main predator.
What can defeat the Komodo dragon as a main predator? Thank you for that. Sorry, the audio is really iffy.
Ooh. So basically, like in Komodo National Park, for example, like they are the top predators. So they're the champion. But in some area, you also have saltwater crocodiles.
Yeah.
So I think if Komodo fight with crocodile in the water, the crocodile will win. But if we're talking like on the ground, I don't know who's gonna win. But in Komodo National Park, they are the top predator, even though they have crocodiles somewhere.
So our kids are a little young for this, but when I was growing up as a boy, there was a show called Beast Wars, which was exactly
Ooh.
this. Like it's hypothesized, like if a tiger versus a lion, who would win? If a Komodo versus a saltwater crocodile, who would win?
I
So
remember that show.
it was a great show.
Yeah.
Yes, Komodo dragons are one of the apex predators on the planet. So they're one of the dominant creatures in their area. They're certainly the biggest thing on the island itself. They're unlikely to ever be in a scenario where they're going to run into something that could beat them in a fight, so to speak. But I love that thought, Miss Brown's class. Thank you so much. Miss Canaldi's class, if you guys want to unmute your mic, come on up, and then we're going to go to Whitney Piercy right after that. Come on in. Hey, guys.
Okay, here's Jackson with our question.
How many breeds are there?
How many what?
Are there different breeds?
Breeds. How many different kinds of Komodo dragon, Ardian?
Oh, at the moment, we only have one species of Komodo, which is Varanus komodoensis. So people still thinking that it's only one breed of Komodo dragons. But Komodo dragon in Komodo National Park and on the neighboring Flores Island, they look a bit different. The big Komodo dragon inside the national park looks more gray, like dull, like rocks. While on the Flores one, actually they are a bit smaller but more colorful, so they're a bit yellowish. People kind of like saying that they might be a different subspecies, but at the moment, like people still thinking they are the same.
Yeah, great question. We've never gotten that one before for a big creature. That's awesome.
Hey,
We're going to head to Edmonton. Miss Piercy's class, if you guys want to unmute your mic, you are good to go. Welcome in. Hi, guys. Hey, everybody.
John. Okay, come over here. I'm right here.
Do Komodo dragons attack humans? Wrong way.
Wrong way.
Do Komodo dragons attack humans?
Do they attack humans? A question we've got in the chat a lot. Great question, man.
Yes, they do attack human, but it's very rare case. And when I work with Komodo dragons, like for about 4 or 5 years, like all the incidents of Komodo dragon attacking human is actually like just incidental. There's one case is where the Komodo dragon attacks a boy because he stepped on the Komodo dragon tail. So he upset the Komodo dragon. Another thing that happened also, like when people just like are finishing fishing, so they're a bit smelly. And well, the boy, the boy was pooping outside. And I think the smell of the boy, because like he just like did the fishing, it's attracting the Komodo dragon. And what happened at that time is like the boy got surprised. So, you know, when you are squatting and then you are surprised, you tend to jump and stand up. And that's the case because the Komodo dragon got surprised, so he attacks the boy. Most of the cases of Komodo dragon attacks on human are, I would say, like accidental, like that the case. We never heard a case where Komodo dragons like targeting someone and attacking someone on purpose.
Yeah. This is true of a lot of creatures. Most animals, even really big predators, don't view people as food. So, like, if you go walking in the Arctic, a polar bear will come for you. Like, it will actually go for you as a food source. Crocodiles will go for people as food sources. But pretty much other than that, most things in the world just leave you alone, run away like they did when Ardian was outside. And this is a really important note. So,
yeah.
Don't step on any animal. If you step on an animal, it's probably going to bite you. I would bite on. Yeah.
And they're afraid of us, Komodo dragons. So there's like when I live in the Komodo village, like the kids, like you guys, are actually like they're the one who chasing the Komodo dragons. And I was kind of like, why are you chasing that big Komodo dragons? Because it's just like because it's fun.
No. See, in Canada and the US, we chase like seagulls sometimes or pigeons, and you probably could leave them alone. And in Komodo, just chase the big dragon. Why
Just
not?
chase the dragon.
Yeah. I'm going to take 2 more written online, and I'm going to try and do a second round. These are great questions, kids. I love them. Miss Nicholas's class wanted to know before they had to leave, do Komodo dragons work in packs or groups?
Ooh, so they're mostly solitary, Komodo dragons. So they usually tended to be living by themselves, but you usually see them like when they are resting in a group. And why they usually walk as a group, to be honest, because like when they eat or they kill a prey, a big prey, for example, like buffalo or like a deer, usually like one Komodo dragon is not enough to kind of like pull the meat out of the deer body, for example. So what we usually see is like if a Komodo dragons are taking a deer or wild pig, they usually always have like a two or three Komodo dragons. So one is pulling the meat out, and the other one will hold the pig or the deer. So they do work together also, which is quite funny.
It is. Miss Sam Mills on YouTube wants to know a couple questions. Cookie wants to know if females and males are different sizes and if they have teeth. And some of the pictures you showed look like they just had like gummy stuff going on. Do they have teeth or not? And males and females different or the same?
Male and female like have a different size. So when we did like the measurement, if it's already weighed more than I kind of forgot 50 or 60 kilogram, you will like for sure knowing that's gonna be male. And the male usually the one who's gonna reach near or more than 3 meters. So the female tended to be smaller than the male. And the teeth, they do have a teeth, but usually in the picture you see the gum, and they say like the gum is kind of like has some wounds, and this is where the bacteria live. But they do have a teeth, and the teeth looks like this. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like the teeth is actually like they use the teeth when they bite. It's kind of like to rip off the meat. So it's very sharp, and it's a bit like I don't know what do you call it, curvy like this one. So yeah, they
Yeah,
do have a teeth, not as big as what you think, but very strong and that
very strong. Komodo dragon, one of the stronger bites of any land animal that we've
Yeah.
ever recorded in history, which is very cool. We're going to try and take as many questions as we can. So rapid fire round. You guys are an amazing audience. I love your energy. Miss Lou's class, come on back in, grade fours. Hi.
How long do they live?
Ooh. In the captive, in the zoo, they say like Komodo dragon can live more than 30 years. We don't know yet for sure like how long they live in the wild, but we expect it's about that age. So
Yep.
they can live very long.
Yeah, that is very long for a creature like that. Grade threes, Burlington, come on back in. If you got a second question for us, you're good to go. Miss Brown, I'm coming to you guys right after this, and just be sure to be really loud. But Burlington, hello again, guys.
Hello.
So, do Komodo dragons eat each other?
Ooh.
Yes, they do eat each other. They are cannibal. Um, it's actually very interesting. We don't really know for sure like why they eat other Komodo dragons. Is it because the meat is good? They just like the taste, or because of other reason? But yes, they do eat other Komodo dragons. What we saw before is like when the Komodo dragons already very old and sick, and when they died, the other Komodo dragon will eat them. But the most common cases will be the big Komodo dragons eating the small Komodo dragons, especially the baby. That's why when the baby just hatch, they're gonna run to the tree and they're gonna live on top of the tree until they are big enough to walk on the ground. Because when they are small and they walk on the ground, the big Komodo dragon will come and hunt them. Oop.
This is why I like you so much, is that when we get a question like, do they eat each other? Both our reactions is, yes, they do. We like predators are cool. They're the best. Miss Brown's class, extra loud. Unmute your mic and you're good to go, guys. Hi, welcome back.
Hello.
Oh, unmute first. Here we are.
Komodo dragons eat poisonous species?
Ooh, cool question.
Ooh. Yeah. So we have like cobra and viper snakes inside the national park, and yes, they do eat venomous species. Yeah. How often? Not really sure, but they do eat like a venomous species like cobra or viper. Yeah. Ooh,
Every
that's a good question.
time I get to hear from you, I want to come to Komodo more. Like I think a lot of people are like Cobra Viper, and I'm like Cobra Viper,
Yes.
let's go. And they got the
Yeah.
best diving in the world. Okay, we'll go together in a few years. Okay, we'll make it happen.
Cool.
Miss Canalti's class, I'm going to head to you guys in just a second. If you want to unmute your mic, we got a great question online, really quick from Keanu and Miss Mataba's class. Can Komodo dragons swim?
Yes, yes. So this is a very interesting thing. There's like two big islands, Komodo and Rinca inside the national park, and you have like a Padar Island, quite small between these two islands. There used to be a Komodo dragon there, and they got extinct. We don't know. We're not really sure why. But this time, some people released Komodo dragon, the national park one or two, but they found more than two Komodo dragons. So they know that actually there might be Komodo dragon from these two big islands are actually swimming to these small islands. Yes, they can swim and they can swim very far.
Very cool. Thank you for that. I'm so glad we got that question. Miss Canaldi's class coming to you, and then we'll go to Miss Piergy's class to wrap up in a second. Come on back in, guys. Hey, grade fives.
Hi, how fast can they run?
Ooh. Very fast, I must say. I kind of like forgot like how fast they can run, but I have seen one Komodo dragons chasing a goat, and it's really fast. I think when you run, they can chase you if they really want, but they don't run really fast and in a long distance. They just run in the short distance. But yes,
I'm so
they can
glad
run
you mentioned that. Lizards actually are weird. Like we can run and breathe at the same time. Lizards can't. It's one of the unique things about their biology. So when they're running, they can't be like to keep going. They couldn't run a marathon. Online says 20 kilometers per hour, which for comparison is about as fast as Usain Bolt. So the fastest man on earth, the Komodo dragon, could chase down Usain Bolt over short distances, which is amazing. So
yay. Be careful.
Edmonton, come on back in for one final question. I will note for our audience today, komododragon.org to learn more about the amazing conservation efforts for these incredible creatures. I'll find the fighting video and share that in a YouTube link at the end. But let's do one more question before we wrap up together. Hey, guys.
How many different types of species of Komodo dragons are there?
Ooh, yes.
How many?
So back fairly, we covered this a little bit earlier, but like different variations. And out of curiosity, so if there's only one Komodo dragon now, have there been other Komodo dragon type things in the past?
Ooh. So that's interesting question because like Komodo dragon is actually a monitor lizard. You might see that. I don't know if you have that in North South America, but like any kind of big lizard, they are like closely related to monitor lizards. But they are different species, and at the moment, like we don't see any breed or like any subspecies of Komodo dragons. But if you want to see like a lizard that looks like Komodo dragons, you can see monitor lizard. And actually, there's a lot in Australia. And
there are a lot in Australia. I'm really sad. We don't have any big lizards here. We've got tiny lizards, and like not even very many of that. I know, it's a bummer.
Yeah, come to Indonesia then.
We'll come visit, and you can come for our bears and cougars and bald eagles, and yeah,
that will be exciting.
Ardian, this has been so much fun, man. Thank you so much for your energy and enthusiasm. Is there any last message about Komodo dragons you want our students to like leave today with before I bring them in to say a big thank you and farewell? Anything you want us to go home with today?
I just imagine like we are very grateful to have like these cool animals living in our planet and amazing nature. I just want to hope like we can always protect these animals and also the habitat, and we can share it to our kids in the future.
Me too. Can't think of a better message than that. We're going to bring in all our classes to say a big thank you and farewell to Miss Lou's class, our Burlington grade 3s, Miss Brown, Miss Penalty, Miss